Welcome to the Jewelry Resellers Podcast, your go-to source for all things shiny, sparkly, and of course, profitable. I'm your host, Desiree, and I'll be your guide on this dazzling journey through the world of reselling jewelry. We'll be diving deep into the art and science of reselling, uncovering valuable tips, insider secrets, and sharing stories from successful jewelry resellers. We'll explore market trends, industry news, and even discuss how to find those hidden gems just waiting to be discovered in thrift stores, estate sales, and beyond. So if you're dreaming of turning your hobby into a hustle, or if you're a seasoned pro looking to stay at the top of your jewelry reselling game, join me each week for insights, stories, and more on the Jewelry Resellers Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am your jewelry reselling bestie. My name's Desiree, and today we are going to talk about how to get started selling jewelry on eBay with only $100. Now, I was having this conversation with someone a couple weeks ago, and someone asked me, Desiree, if you had to start all over and you only had $100 and you wanted to be a jewelry reseller, or you wanted to start a jewelry reselling business, exactly how would you go about doing that? And so I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now, and I think I have a plan, and I'm going to share that plan with you today. So if you are a beginner, or if you've been thinking about this, but maybe you don't have a lot of money to start, maybe you don't know exactly where or how to start, I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide to starting a jewelry reselling business on eBay with $100. So that's going to be the challenge. All right, so if you are new here, I want to say welcome and thank you so much for, choosing to hang out with me for the time that we have together. And another thing that's going to help you if you are just getting started is my list of the 20 best-selling vintage jewelry brands that I think all resellers should know about. Now, when you sign up for the newsletter, and if this is something that you seriously are thinking about doing, either as a business or even as a hobby, you want to get your hands on a copy of this list, okay? So all you got to do is head on over to the website. That is jewelryresellerspodcast.com. That's jewelryresellerspodcast.com. I will also have a link in the show notes, or if you are listening to this on YouTube, I will have a link to that in the description of the video. All right, so let's get back to today's topic, and that is how to start selling jewelry on eBay with only $100. Now, I know that's not really enough for you to say, hey, I can quit my job and become a jewelry reseller with only $100. Now, eventually, you can get to that point, and we've talked about that on the podcast. I actually did a whole episode on when is it time for you to become a full-time jewelry reseller? But that's not where we're at today. Today, we are talking about, someone fresh on the scene, trying to figure out how to do this. Or maybe you just want to test this out. Maybe you sell on eBay in another category, but you want to test out jewelry and see if you can really make this work. And you don't want to spend a whole lot of money investing in jewelry up front because you don't know. You don't know if it's going to work out. You don't know if it's going to be something you actually enjoy doing. And then you want to make sure that it's something you can stick to doing once you get started. All right, so let's go ahead and tackle this step-by-step guide that I've created here. And knowing what I know now, I would make a lot of different choices than what I did when I initially started, because when I started, I really didn't know what I was doing. Now, I sold my own personal jewelry. I've shared that story, that when I first started selling jewelry, I sold my own stuff. And so I kind of already had inventory in that sense, but I still didn't really know how to be a successful, profitable jewelry reseller. And I want to give you the information today that hopefully will start you off on a much better track than than the one that I started on. All right, so the first step we want to really examine and take our time with is number one, market research and planning. Now, this is going to be huge. You really want to research the type of jewelry you want to sell. Or you can just actually research jewelry in general on eBay. It is a massive category, but it will give you an idea of what types of jewelry is selling. Maybe there's a particular niche that you want to focus on, and that's going to be something you want to identify up front. And I recommend you do choose a niche. Now, for the most part, people usually start with selling pre-owned jewelry, whether it's vintage, whether it's antique, whether it's costume. Most people that I know start selling some form of pre-owned or even in some cases estate jewelry. Okay, so you want to identify what exactly is the type of jewelry you want to sell. And then you want to research that on eBay because you want to see what types of pieces are selling for the most money, and maybe some things that you should consider looking out for if you are trying to, gather up some inventory, or maybe seeing what you have on hand in your own personal collection, because that's what I did. All right, so identify your niche, determine what type of jewelry you want to sell. Now, like I said, you can do vintage, costume, handmade, or even trendy jewelry pieces. Now, that's becoming really popular. People are buying those, what I like to call fast jewelry pieces, in the sense that they're not super high quality, but they look like a lot of the more higher end brands and designs of jewelry. Although they are a much cheaper price, some people like to do that. So figure out exactly what type of jewelry you want to sell and what do you think you can find, or what do you think you can have, you have easy access to. Now, the other thing you want to focus on is making sure that you are choosing a niche that is interesting to you, as well as a niche that is in demand on eBay. Now, you can research solds of anything on eBay, and you can sort or filter the search results to start with highest, or most, I think it's recently sold or something like that. So you want to look at all of that. You want to see what is selling now and what is selling for the highest price. Because one thing that you will know about eBay, even if you don't sell on there, or if you don't already know this, things that sell for the most or the highest price may not always be the things that sell the quickest. And this is unique to jewelry, although it could be any category really. But sometimes you have to find things that sell quickly and that sell for a good price. Okay, so you need to do this research, because if you don't do this research, it'll be really hard for you to stay within that $100 budget that we are challenging ourselves with as it relates to doing this. All right, the other thing you want to research is, I don't know if I should call them competitors per se, but you want to look at other successful jewelry sellers or resellers who do sell on eBay. Now, as you all know, I am not 100% selling on eBay because I like to do live selling. But I do have some things still listed on eBay. I wouldn't consider myself one of the most successful jewelry resellers on eBay, but you can find them. There's lots of jewelry sellers out there, especially if you go on YouTube and just type in, jewelry reseller or selling jewelry on eBay, those types of things. And you want to look at exactly what it is they're selling. And then if you can find maybe their eBay store, you want to look at their pricing, their product descriptions or their item descriptions, item specifics, and their photos. Okay, so you want to look at how some of these people are listing their jewelry on eBay, and you want to make sure that you're doing the best you can as it relates to creating good quality listings on eBay, because that's going to be key and that's going to be super important for you to do this. Okay, and it will take some time for you to learn. All right, so this challenge is going to be a learning process in the sense where you may or may not have everything figured out right away. And it may take you some time to find some inventory within this challenge budget. All right, so understand that this is probably not something that's going to be getting rich quickly. Not that anything about eBay is that, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, I just want you to have realistic expectations when you're starting this and understand that this is all part of the learning process. All right, so step number 2 is to figure out our budget. All right, so we are talking about inventory. Now, because we are doing this $100 challenge, this is going to be tough, but it can be done. I'm telling you, it can be done. Because sometimes I have found my best pieces of jewelry in some of the, I don't want to say cheap per se, but I guess cheap is the best way to say it, in really cheap jewelry lots. And that might be the best way to start this, just so you can learn. Now, the thing about buying lots is that it's really hit or miss. You may get a bunch of junk, and you may not even get one piece in the lot that's worth selling. So it is taking a huge risk. But the thing about buying jewelry in a bulk lot is that you get a lot more stuff for a much more cost-effective price. But again, it's really taking a chance because you don't have any idea what you're going to get. And I've had bulk boxes of jewelry. Some have been amazing and others have been nothing but literal junk. All right, so again, take that into consideration if that's going to be the decision you make, because you can buy a box of bulk jewelry for anywhere from $30 to maybe $75, $100. Okay, so if you are just willing to take a chance because you said, hey, I'm learning, I just want to get started and see what I get, then that's the great attitude, and you have a really realistic expectation as it relates to what you can get or what you may get in your bulk lot purchase. But for the sake of this challenge, I'm going to say you want to allocate about anywhere from $60 to $70 for purchasing your initial inventory, whatever that is. Now, you can also wholesale some jewelry where you can find pieces for, maybe $2 each, and you can buy, I don't know, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 pieces, whatever. The thing is you have to make sure that that type of jewelry is in demand and that it is something that people are actually looking for, and make sure that it's something you actually can sell. Okay? Because here's the other thing. You also want to put aside a little bit of money for your packaging supplies. All right. Now, you can find this stuff on eBay. You can also buy it. I've even seen bubble mailers and packing tape at Dollar Tree, Walmart. So you don't have to spend a lot, but you will need some stuff. So you want to put aside maybe, I'll say about $20-ish, maybe 25, depending, just so you can get maybe 10 bubble mailers or something like that, just to get you started. Because remember, we're starting from scratch here, so we don't have anything. All right, so you're going to have to allocate money for purchasing your initial inventory. And that's why I said anywhere from $60 to maybe $70 for that. And then you want to put some money aside for your packaging materials, bubble wrap, padded mailers, like I said, maybe some small boxes. And I think you're going to need to spend anywhere from $20 to $25 on that. Of course, you may not need to. Maybe you can recycle some things that you already have. Maybe you already have this stuff and you don't need to spend it. But if you don't have it, then you do need to take that into consideration as well. The other thing that you are going to have to not necessarily put aside money for, but remember, eBay does charge fees. So depending on exactly, well, because I'm thinking if you're just going to list on eBay and you don't have a store, you don't have to worry about, store fees and stuff like that. And if you're just going to do buy it now, then you don't have to worry about the fee until the item actually sells. But if you're going to do an auction, I do believe you have to pay a fee up front for that. It's not that much, but still it's something to take into consideration. All right, but just remember, eBay is going to take fees, and then if you want to promote your jewelry items, that's going to cost you up front as well. All right, I don't recommend doing that as a beginner. You just want to make sure that you're selling items that people actually want and that your listings and your photos attract the right buyer who is looking for those particular items that you are selling. Okay, so don't worry about promoting right now, especially if you're just getting started. Let's just learn the basics of what we need to know in order to get this up and running. Okay, so step 3 is going to be inventory. This is always the thing that seems to be a challenge for a lot of people because, it's not easy to find good jewelry just everywhere. But there's a lot of places you can go, thrift stores, which, I love to go to, yard sales, bulk lots. We already mentioned that earlier, and you can buy those online at a variety of places, even on eBay. Online marketplaces, things like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and maybe even places local to you. I've talked about this before, maybe pawn shops, maybe auctions, maybe estate sales, all of these things, right? So there's lots. And here's the thing. I just went to an estate sale last week, and the lady had a lot of jewelry there. Now, it wasn't really anything special. It just looked like costume jewelry. But everything she had there was $1. So if I buy it for $1, maybe I can sell it for $5, for a pair of earrings, whatever, and you can get started that way, right? And you can also learn about the jewelry as you're growing your business or as you are learning about how eBay works or how certain types of jewelry are more in demand. Maybe you're learning about the different types of vintage costume jewelry, whatever the case may be. All right, step number 4 is to really evaluate and price your items. You want to inspect each piece for any damage or any flaws or anything like that. I don't think you really need to clean the jewelry unless it's like literally got like gunk on it. But if it's like tarnish or something like that, or maybe a little bit of dust or something, maybe wipe that away. But I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time cleaning and polishing it unless it was something really high end or something like that. But for the most part, most jewelry buyers prefer to clean the jewelry themselves, or you just, like I said, you do a quick wiping of dust or something like that. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. Okay, so, but if there are any flaws or damage or missing stones or anything like that, make sure that you include that in the item listing. Okay, make sure you note that. I'm going to say I don't like to sell jewelry pieces that have flaws or damage, but I have sold them, and some people repair jewelry on their own, and so they don't mind that, and they like getting a little bit of a discount, to find or to buy a jewelry piece that may have some type of flaw to it. So, just be as thorough as possible as it relates to the quality of the piece of jewelry that you are selling. All right. And then you want to make sure your prices are competitive. Again, this is where the research comes in. Make sure that you are looking up similar pieces on eBay. What are they selling for? What have they sold for? What are people asking? How many of them, whatever it is, how many of those particular things are also listed? Because if it's something and there's already 200 of them listed, you may want to make sure that your pricing isn't too high, because no one's going to see your, let's say, ring if there's already like 200 or 2,000 of them already on there exactly like it. Okay, so again, this is where the research comes in. All right, so you want to look at similar listings on eBay to price your items competitively, and consider maybe offering free shipping. I don't really like to do free shipping, but I've talked to some people who said that they seem to do really well with it because, their listings show up higher in the search results because they are offering free shipping. So think about if you want to do that. I don't like doing free shipping. I don't think I ever have done free shipping on any jewelry on eBay. Just because I feel like, because with jewelry, it's already kind of small and lightweight anyway. I'd rather not have to worry about free shipping in the event something gets returned or something like that. Okay. But again, that's an individual thing. Think about if it will work for your business or not. All right. Number 5, you want to set up your eBay account if you don't already have one. A lot of people I talk to already have an eBay account because, they buy stuff on eBay. So if you already have an eBay account as a buyer, you can use that same one as a seller as well. And then you want to complete your profile. And if you want to have a photo on there, that's fine. You don't have to. You also want to create a bio on there just so people can get to know you if it is a brand new eBay account. Just having a trustworthy profile can increase buyer confidence, especially if you don't have any feedback, okay? So if you don't have any feedback, I will tell you, you probably want to shop and buy a few things on eBay just so you can get some feedback as a buyer so you don't have a feedback of 0. At least you'll have something showing that you've been on eBay for a while and that, you understand how the platform works. All right, step number 6 is all about listing your items. I've talked about this too. You really want to have good quality photos. Now you can use your smartphone or a good camera or a basic digital camera, whatever you have access to. A lot of us use our phone because the phones nowadays are really fantastic with taking clear photos that are sharp. You want to make sure that you have good lighting and taking photos from the jewelry with multiple angles, the front, the back. If there is any damage or flaw, you want to include a picture of that too, okay? And make sure your background is neutral. You don't want anything crazy or busy or anything that kind of takes away from the item that you're photographing. Now you also want to write detailed descriptions. Again, you want to fill out as many of the item specifics as you can. And depending on what it is that you're selling, you'll see that there are a lot of item specifics. And you want to make sure you fill that out because that is how people are going to find your items. Okay, and you want to make sure you use keyword-rich listings or titles rather, and in your description as well. Whatever you think potential buyers might search for, that's what you want to have in your title, okay? All right. Now, I did write this on the list, although if you are brand new, I don't really recommend you use eBay promotions because it does cost. And if you're just getting started, you may not want to spend the money for that just yet. Okay, but if you are already an established eBay seller and you're just trying to test out the jewelry category, you may want to promote your listings or have a markdown event or whatever. So again, that's going to be do at your own risk. But if you are brand new starting from scratch, I don't recommend it, at least not yet. The other thing too is you want to make sure you promote. Once you get your listings live on eBay, you want to promote them in some way. Now you can do that on social media. That's what a lot of us do. And eBay also has integrations with, I think, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. So eBay does have a way for you to share your listings directly. You just have to link your social media accounts, or you can do it manually. You can copy and paste the link and share it on Twitter or wherever. And yeah, you want to make sure people can find your items, okay? And do whatever you can to help them get seen. All right, my next step is all about customer service and shipping. All right, so you want to make sure you ship your items quickly. I have always had a one business day shipping time for as long as I've sold on eBay, because I don't know, I just feel like that's the best for me and the buyer. Usually I can get a package out within 24 hours, one business day. And you want to make sure you respond to questions quickly if somebody asks you something about, whatever it is, whatever you're selling. And make sure that you don't leave those buyer messages unanswered, because eBay likes to see that you are responding promptly to any type of questions or anything, that the buyers may have. All right, step number 9 is to make sure you monitor and adjust. You want to track your performance. All right, so you want to use eBay's analytic tools and track your views, your sales, your performance. Maybe adjust your pricing if you see that certain things are not quite going the way you want them to. Your listing titles, your descriptions, you want to adjust all of that based on what works best. So you can look at what sold if you go back in your, I think it's called My eBay. And I don't know if it's still called the seller dashboard. I can't remember. But anyway, your back end of eBay, and you will find all of those analytics, and you can figure out, what is working, and you can even see how many people are seeing, your items too. So you can say, hey, this one got a lot of views, but it didn't sell. Let me go take a look at this listing, and what can I change or what can I improve? All right, and then my last step is to, when you make that money, you want to reinvest into your business. So whatever money you're making off of this initial $100, you're going to take that money and you're going to buy more inventory, and you're going to do this all over again. So you don't want to, pay your bills or, go to lunch with your eBay profits, because if you're trying to do this as a business, you want to reinvest that money back into buying more inventory. Maybe you need to buy more shipping supplies. Okay, so you don't want to make the money and then use it for something else. No, you want to use it to reinvest back into your business until you can get it up to where you need it to be. All right, so remember, we're starting this with just $100. That's the challenge. And hopefully we make more than that, or we at least get our money back, but then we have more knowledge to buy better inventory, more inventory, so we can do this all again. Now, typically jewelry doesn't have a really fast sell-through rate, but the more that you do this, you will continuously turn over your inventory if you are buying items that people want, okay, and that are priced fairly, things that are in good condition, all of that, okay. But jewelry isn't something that typically sells very quickly unless you have something very, very rare or very, very unique that a lot of people are searching for. All right, so some additional tips for you are to stay organized. Make sure you keep detailed records of your purchases, your sales, and all of your expenses. So every time you go shopping for inventory, make sure you are either saving your receipts if you bought it from a thrift store, or if you went to a estate sale or maybe a yard sale where not all the time they give you a receipt. Just write down, the date, how much you purchased, the dollar amount, and then you can kind of put the neighborhood of where you were, where the estate sale was or where the yard sale was, just so you can track all of this for when you do your taxes, because a lot of this travel and stuff is going to be deductible for you. All right, you also want to learn to build a brand as you grow. Consider branding your eBay store. All right, a lot of eBay resellers do this, especially on YouTube. There's a lot of jewelry resellers who brand their YouTube channels to match their eBay store. So you can do that too. You don't have to do that. But again, it's just another way to promote your items and hopefully get your items sold quicker. Get your items out there on as many eyes, or get as many eyes on your items as possible. All right, and finally, you want to stay up to date. You want to keep an eye on the jewelry trends and the market demand, so you can make sure that the type of jewelry pieces you are listing are things that people actually want, and that you are, really just knowledgeable about what's working at the time. Now, like I said, jewelry is a massive category, and it's not always easy to really figure it out, because it's so overwhelming, especially if, like, let's say you want to do vintage jewelry. Well, that's huge. And there's so much as it relates to vintage jewelry. All right. So you may just need to start out selling whatever you can find, and maybe your niche will find you instead of you trying to figure out what niche you want to sell on, or sell in rather. Okay, so by following these steps and maintaining a focus on quality, good customer service, and strategic marketing, you can successfully start and grow a jewelry reselling business on eBay with just $100. Remember, we are just talking about getting started. All right, eventually you are going to turn this $100 into what I would like to see as a thriving, successful, growing jewelry reselling business. Okay, it can be done. And for some of you, you may be able to do this with even less than $100, like I did, because I sold jewelry from my own personal collection. So if that's the case, then you can sell the jewelry that you have in your own personal collection, but still use the $100 to buy more. And now you're starting your business with even more inventory, had you not had your own stuff to, kick things off with. All right, so that is the challenge, and this is the plan if you are interested in doing something like this. But I am telling you, it can be done. It can be done. It's not something that will happen quickly, like I said, but you can get started doing this without a whole lot of money. And in a lot of ways, I believe that it's best to do that, because sometimes when you have thousands of dollars or even a few $100s to buy inventory and you don't know anything about jewelry, or you don't know anything about what's selling, what's in demand on eBay, you could end up making a lot of mistakes, very expensive mistakes. And so sometimes not having money to start a business is a blessing, because it forces you to really up your knowledge game and do the research, so you understand exactly what it is you're getting into, what people are looking for, and how you specifically can be successful at this. All right, so that is going to be it for this episode. I hope it was helpful, and I hope that it inspired some of you who have been thinking about this to go ahead and give it a go. Like I said, I broke it down so you know exactly what you need to think about, what you need to focus on. And again, you don't need a lot of money. So I would love to get your feedback and some of your ideas on doing this. Have you started a eBay reselling business or even a jewelry business with, say, $100 or less. I would love to know your experience, and maybe you can share, maybe some tips that could help all of us. And if you do have any questions, comments, concerns, or observations, please leave them in the comment section. And I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me. I will check in with you again really soon.